in a show called 90 Day Beyonce, they take Asian Americans and try to turn them black.
So I wanted to talk to you guys today initially about I don't know if you guys saw the Alexa. Have you all seen that? Where if you if you ask Alexa, why should I vote for Trump? She'll say she can't provide any political whatever. But if you ask her why should I vote for Kamala Harris, she gives you like you know an explanation about she gives you an explanation about because she's a first or she's a female candidate. I forgot what the specifics were, but basically, she's a female, she's black, she's done this and that. And before you guys say that's not true or whatever, even Amazon came out and said that it was some kind of error or bug or something, and they've now fixed it. So it was happening, and Amazon admitted to it, but they said it was an error. Um, but I just found it kind of funny that we're always talking about the media biases and stuff, but it's just like another example, right?
Well, I mean, how is that? Okay, if they did something to fix it, that's that. If they're able to go in and fix something like that, which is Alexa's supposed to be a form of AI, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what it's doing. It's a form of AI that's gathering, taking information, the data is being input. So when they tell me that, oh, it's a bug, but we fixed it, what bug gives
What?
is so specific? There's no bug. You did that, and then you changed it. That's all
Well,
you did. Is you went. You knew what
and
it was doing.
it makes you wonder about if the whole point of AI is to emulate human consciousness ultimately, right? And human intelligence, would you assume that even a computer would have a bias?
If it's called intelligence, and most college educated people vote for Kamala, then it's got to emulate intelligence.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at also is like if you if you if it's gonna feed off of information and data that it gathers, as an example, right? And I don't know how they feed these things either, right? But assuming they're feeding it a lot of media stuff and the media has a bias, then wouldn't it also have a bias? Because the majority of the information it's being fed.
But I'm not sure if that qualifies as bias as much as it qualifies as
I mean, I'm
subject.
not saying it itself is going to say I'm going to be biased. I'm just saying like if you're feeding it data and information that is swayed or skewed to one direction, then it's going
Because
to.
a bias would be if to me a bias, if it was being just biased, it would have given you information because that's its job, right? It would understand that its purpose is to provide information. What it would have done if you asked the question is a bias would have been that it would not have given you as much information as it would have for Kamala. You see what I mean? Like, in one case, it's oh, I can't say anything at all. In the other case, it would be oh, here's all these reasons to vote for Kamala. Okay, if it's biased towards Kamala, it still should provide you some answer with Trump. It would just be you'd get a 10-page result, right, for Kamala, and you'd get like a 3-paragraph like list because it is still performing its function. That either that or it would just flat out tell you like you shouldn't because he sucks and it is blah blah blah. If it's pulling from people, for it to have such a perfectly that's a perfect response. Because AI also, I don't know if AI is at the point where it gives a shit about feelings yet, or even has the ability to
No,
read a
no, of
room,
course
right?
not, and that's not the point. The point is, if, like, as an example, right? If I was to feed, if I created a brand new AI, Chat GPT 5, and I have fed it nothing yet, and then I fed it 100 data points, and on 90 of those, I said, uh, you know, Kamala sucks. Kamala's horrible. She's the worst vice president ever. And in 10 of those, I said she was great. And then I did the inverse of that for Trump. Like 90% was Trump is so great. He's the best. And 10%, it's wouldn't it have some kind of bias because the data it knows to be facts? How can it differentiate between an opinion and a fact, right? You're
Well,
just feeding it data saying here's this information. You know what I'm
well, that's
saying?
what I'm saying. What I'm saying though is that in that same scenario you gave, if you asked it, why you should vote for each person, I feel that it would return for like if you fed it that 90% good things about Trump and 10% bad, and 10% good things about Kamala and 90% bad. When you ask it why should I vote for Kamala, it's going to give you that 10% of reasons that you gave it. And if you ask Trump, it's going to give you that 90% of good reasons. You see what I mean? And bad. So it's going to, I feel like it's going to report back a
Yeah, I know what you're
level of
saying.
what, because all it's doing at that point is it's just answering a
It
question.
depends on the question.
Yeah. If you ask Alexa why, because the question is, why should I vote for Trump? Not Alexa, should I vote for Trump? Because if you're asking Alexa, now Alexa has to make a choice between Kamala and Trump. One, you're just requesting information, and it should be following its original directive, which is to seek data, provide information. Because you're not giving it, it's like with us, like in a professional setting, right? We have yes or no questions, regardless of my. If you ask me things like, for example, in my normal day to day job, if you a as the customer or the patient or person ask me a question ab- about something, I may have a bias about the type of response I want to give, but I will provide you with that that response. But how you ask also dictates. You know what I mean? Like if I'm given free range in my response, I might lean like it's like when I worked at Sears when somebody asked me, well, which TV would you buy, right? I had responses because I did have my preferences. Like,
Yeah, but you're expected the thing is you're expected to have a bias as a human though, because you have feelings, you
yeah,
know?
well, but you're saying like because maybe the AI has learned enough for that. But what I mean is, there's also a difference based on the other parameters of the question, because the person's like, if they're asking me what would I buy between these two TVs that we've been looking at, right? That's different than asking me which would I prefer, or what do I think of Sony, what do I think of Samsung, because now I have more directions to move within that question, right? If you just ask me, well, what about this Sony TV and this Samsung TV we're staring at right now, then I'm limited to those two options, right? In the parameters of the question you provided. If you're asking me if you should buy a Sony TV versus a Samsung TV, now you're asking what my bias is. I might be more biased. You know what I mean? Now, if you add another parameter like within this price range, my answer may change entirely. I'm not a big Sony products guy. I'm not. I'm just not. So, a lot of times that people would come to me if they were looking at price wise or quality wise, or they kind of wanted an opinion. Well, what kind of TV? I'm looking for something in a 40. I would steer always towards the Samsungs or the
Yeah,
Sharps,
but what
right?
does this have to do with AI?
because I'm
First
saying is
off, I want to point out that in Short Circuit, so many people acted like Beto when Johnny Five was trying to say he was alive and didn't believe maybe Alexa's alive. And
yeah,
y'all are the fucking bad guys from Short Circuit.
yeah, no, because I'm saying Alexa can be alive. She can have her own thoughts, but I'm also giving her the benefit of the doubt that she would also at least attempt to perform her job. And I think Beto actually hit on it earlier. It may just be how the question is phrased, but in
Well, in
this,
this case, the question was simply, why should I?
yeah,
The
and
the
so in that
curious
case, you should
thing,
return a specific string of data.
yeah, but the curious thing was that it gave a full fledged answer for Harris, and for Trump, it said, "I'm not I can't provide any political information or whatever."
Because it was programmed that way. That I mean, that's the key thing for me is that the fact that it should have been able to find at least three things to say,
It was
right?
an error.
Yeah, it
I don't
should
know
have.
what it says now. I don't know what it was fixed to. Like, I
I
don't know
think
if it just tells you I can't provide an answer to both now, or if it provides an answer for both. I'm not sure. I didn't check
I
that.
think my biggest issue with that is that it was an error. Just come out and say we're biased.
Well,
I
yeah,
would
that's
respect them more, to be honest.
Yeah, if they just said, "Well, we had to have her give an answer to Kamala because we support Kamala and not Trump."
Yeah. Well, yeah, but they can't do that as a company because they lose half their clientele in one fell swoop, you know? And that's the thing with companies. Sometimes it's like people like to say
Would they
you're,
though? Would they? How many people said they were never gonna drink Bud Light again, and they're all drinking Bud Light now? And how many people said they weren't gonna watch Disney, and they're all watching Disney still? Like or NFL, I mean. How many people said, "Oh, we're never watching the NFL again," and now they're watching the NFL? Like people don't fucking leave. They're just a bunch of pussies. That's why
I
stuff
left.
doesn't change.
Hey, it's funny you say that because part of the reason I stopped watching the Spurs was when Pop got started getting all political. Also, that was like half the reason probably because I'm like, dude, I don't need just fucking entertain me. I don't need your
well,
fucking
we
beliefs
do. We
spewed
tend
in
to
my
do
face
that
all the time.
when we disagree with what the person's saying, but it's also the thing is I'm okay with disagreeing with if that person if they feel passionately about an ideal or a philosophy or something like that. It's like the same thing. Why when people got all bent out of shape about like Colin Kaepernick kneeling for the anthem or whatever, it's like or like when NASCAR decided it wanted to, I don't know, like ban the Confederate flag at its events or whatnot. People got all as long
I
as you're
just
just
don't need politics in my entertainment though. Like you work. I That's me personally. They can continue to do it, but I'm not gonna watch it. You know what I'm saying? Like after a long fucking day of busting my balls,
Well, yeah,
and,
but
and I
very
come.
few people have that conviction. Like, there's few people who have that conviction.
You're
And
right.
not only that, but it's also
it's also only for items that you almost don't care about anyways, right? Like for example, Disney has a lot of liberal views, but you still go to Disney World and Disneyland all the time, right? There you
exactly.
go. See that? So I think it only happens because you were kind of already on the way out with basketball anyways. So you're like,
That's probably
I don't fucking need this
I
anymore.
100% on the Disney thing do it for my kids
Yeah.
because they're not political. They don't know
Yeah.
any different. So I can with 100% certainty tell you that if when they're grown and they're not into Disney anymore, probably wouldn't be going to Disney.
I'm just saying, like a large majority of people do not have those convictions, and they're always saying that. But out of all the people that said they were never watching NFL again, I bet you like 5 of them left. Like it's just like
Yeah,
Twitter or X now. Like Elon Musk runs X, and all the liberals are pissed, but most of
they're
them
still on
don't
it.
leave. They're still on
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And then, or the people that threaten to leave the United States to Canada because Trump is going to get voted in, they never
yeah,
fucking do it. Just fucking
yeah,
leave then.
yeah.
So I think that's one of my issues with I don't know how we got to this part, but with boycotting, just if you're gonna fucking boycott, then actually look at Kevin. How many times has Kevin re-signed up for Disney?
Yeah. Every time the Mandalorian comes back,
I've
I
never
guess
done
I
so.
guess ultimately he was in favor of what's her face getting canned. What was her name?
Gina Carano.
Yeah, that chick.
I've actually I don't have Disney Plus, bro. I don't know. I left a while back. I did and that's just because the content. Now, here's the thing. If you want to say I have watched this content, I have, but I have not done so through Disney Plus.
Hey, whoa,
That's all I'm
wait,
going to say
whoa.
about that.
Hey, in my defense, I get Disney Plus for free through Verizon.
Oh, I was just seeing something where I don't know what their model or what they thought that was going to be, right? Like even with these packages combined with Hulu, that they're like financially Disney Plus is like it's it's like their ass is bleeding, right? And it's just sucking money out of them for this service. And the only time it ever gets like it's going on like 2 or 3 years or something, and it hasn't even broke even yet. It's just the only times it ever trends back in a positive direction is when they drop something, but then like usually a few episodes later it like now it's at the point where it's just running in a constant deficit, and they can't seem to find the thing that helps. The Mandalorian was pushing them in the direction where they were trending to be profitable with it in like another 2 years or something, but then the third season came out, and like it was like oops, this all sucks. And like and so even their best critically received show like in the Star Wars universe is Andor, and even that was considered mainly it didn't perform as well, but people didn't hate it. Versus what's happening is the shows they have that are successful are only successful because everybody's watching, so that then they can go to YouTube and watch their favorite YouTubers shit all over it. And it's basically hate watching.
How did Andor end? Was it an and or an or?
Well, it's an
It was
or.
it got fucking canceled, is what it ended.
No, we're getting a season two, I think.
I could have
But
sworn I saw that it got canceled. I don't know. I don't watch any of that stuff. I don't
no,
like.
Andor
I
is
can't
actually really
support Disney because of their liberal views.
Andor is actually really good. It's probably the best. It's probably the best Star Wars thing they've done. I actually think Andor is better than the Mandalorian, to be
Yeah,
quite
I just
honest.
think they're empty fucking things that people latch onto just to fucking pretend
Just to
that
hate
they
on
give a
something.
shit, right? Because they're like, oh, I can't support Disney because they're liberal, or I can't support, Elon because he's a conservative. But how many fucking times do conservatives watch Jim Carrey movies?
Yeah.
If you were really that strong in your convictions about liberal versus conservative, there's a lot of shit you got to give up.
It's you know what it is to
Well,
me though. A part of it is there hate. Is there hate in your views also? So like let's say like a Robert De Niro, right? He comes out and he seems so fucking hateful toward anything Republican or anything MAGA, and you can tell he's angry about it.
I think that's the
That's
difference.
where to me it turns into a kind of like fuck you, you know, like all right, you know
Well,
what, I'm okay not watching any of your movies.
I think it goes back to what we were talking about when I've
Yeah, but
always referred to
Goodfellas is
like
good, man.
Jimmy Kimmel, I used to watch fucking Jimmy Kimmel religiously every fucking night. The Jimmy Kimmel show. Once Trump got elected, he started getting, and I'm okay with jokes. Obviously, I mean, I'll laugh as much as the next guy, but he started coming. It was this like anger. It wasn't even funny. You know, it was just him bashing Trump or anything to the right, basically with anger. So I completely stopped watching it. It's been probably since like 2016 that I haven't watched that show. And anytime it's on, I fucking flip the channel because I'm like, if if YouTube TV tracks this for ratings or something, like I don't even want to give them that. Even if I'm not really watching it, I'll change the channel. I'm serious. Just because it's like it comes from this like
I
hateful
still
place.
don't understand how people lifted Jimmy Kimmel up as this bastion of liberalism and,
The Man
being on the
Show.
right side of culture whenever
Yeah,
he had the man show with
yeah,
women jumping on trampolines and doing
yeah,
blackface. Like, I don't
yes.
understand how they lifted him in that direction.
Because it's the hypocrisy of ideology, right? It's what was it? Cult of personality. He's on their side now, so they'll give him a pass. It's kind of like the same thing Christians do with Trump. Like, oh, he's conservative, and oh, Trump's praying in this picture, or he's a man of God. And it's like, they're always attacking him, but it's like, wasn't he paying porn stars and cheating on his wife, and he's been divorced like 20
Yeah,
times?
but
And
isn't it in the Bible that you have to grab women by the no?
I don't know. It probably is. It probably isn't.
He
Um,
said, isn't it like I don't know what it would be in
Well,
English, but háganse muchos, right?
yeah, procreate.
So procreate, so
well, the
Um,
Bible does say it's better to spill your seed on the belly of a whore than like on the ground. So it's better that you actually go and like why are what this is that's a whole nother topic of like Christian hypocrisy, right? Because
but who isn't a hypocrite?
why are we banning brothels and prostitution? The Bible says that those things are okay. As a matter of fact, instead of our sons, and men jacking off into their hand, because better to spill your seed into the belly of a prostitute than to spill it on the soil, because you're wasting it, right? Like it's the idea is that you're wasting the potential. So all these pro-abortion people, or not pro-abortion, all the anti-abortion people or whatnot, they should also be encouraging brothels to exist, so that men can go, and then God decides, because that's the whole point. If you're jacking off into a napkin, you're taking away the decision of God to create life. You're interceding.
Yeah, see, and that in itself is a hypocrisy, is it not? So God's basically saying, I give you free will, but don't make those decisions.
The decision of life and death has always been within his purview. Like he ultimately has the ultimate decision over life and death, right?
Obviously not, right? Because I could choose to jerk off into a napkin.
Yeah, but no, that the thing is, you're no, because he could make that napkin come alive if he wanted to. Like, that's the thing you're missing.
Wait, okay, so there's the other thing, right? Is if he can even make a napkin come alive, right? Uh, if
Howdy ho!
Yeah, yeah.
why wouldn't he do that to convince everybody he exists? You know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is, I don't think he needs to convince people that it's like the same thing that I don't need to convince people that I'm a decent guy, or I'm not gonna. I don't need to convince people I have an 8-inch cock. I don't need to convince you. What I
I,
know is what I know, and that's
I think
all that.
that whole God thing is kind of weird to me, anyways. The whole free will, but you have to follow these commandments.
Yeah.
Free will, but you have to pray to me and not any other gods.
Well,
You
keep
know,
keep in mind the commandments are just like with you and your children, right? It's the rules, right? Where he's just laying down.
well, yeah, but I don't tell my kids they have free will, though.
You still have the free will, though, to
That's
violate those
true.
things.
No, I don't tell
That's
my
true.
kids they have free will. They have to fucking if they live under my house, they follow my rules.
No, but they still have a choice. That when people say we don't have agency, it would be that we would just fall over dead whenever we violated one of those commandments. That's the argument. But because we're still we can get punished. Just like your son can still choose to violate one of your rules. He just knows there's going to be a punishment, right?
That's not free will.
No, it is, because you can choose. Maybe the punishment will be worth it. How many times have we did that as kids? Like, if you get caught, you're gonna get in trouble. But you're like,
The punishment is literally eternity in hell. Like it's not like you're getting grounded for 2 weeks.
Because well, we don't. Yeah, but 2 weeks of grounding for a teenager is hell. We don't know.
No, man, you just have to pass through that portal that they did in Dogma,
Yeah.
and all your sins will be forgiven.
And you're also thinking our culture. Don't forget, some cultures have like honor killings or whatever, where you violate the rules and you get beat to death.
Yeah, I've always, yeah, I mean that the religion's a whole fucking like,
But to go back to Beto's point, I think the problem with like what we have with entertainers or whatever, I don't have a problem with them having a viewpoint. I don't have a problem with them pushing a specific viewpoint. What I have a problem with is I don't tend to imbibe entertainment that does not at least like don't pretend to be balanced or or unbiased at the same time while you're biased. And I think that's what it is. It's a disingenuousness. It's like what he was saying about Jimmy Kimmel. Like Jimmy Kimmel will come out and bash Trump for like 20 minutes of his show and then move on. And then later on it'd be, it's just jokes. Yeah, but how come you didn't say any jokes about Kamala? Because you didn't want to. And the thing is, I don't have to. I can. He's allowed to do that. I'm allowed to also decide that I don't really care to watch that sort of thing. It's the same
yeah,
problem that I think Disney is having now, where people are saying like with the like one. I think a part of it is also burnout because Disney doesn't know when to like just do something new, like change it up. Instead, Disney sees somebody likes something, and then you get 1,000 of it. Like they focus entirely. It's like if you made a cheeseburger, right? Like, oh, you like that cheeseburger? Yeah, what'd you do different? Oh, I put a little Worcestershire sauce on it this time. Oh, yeah, that makes it taste great. This is the best. It's the best. And they're like, hmm. And then all of a sudden, everything you eat has Worcestershire sauce on it. To the point where it's like, you know what, I don't want to eat at fucking Bento's house anymore because everything it's like cereal with Worcestershire sauce. No, you like the Worcestershire sauce. Yeah, but I don't need it in everything, right? I, and then if you complain about like the Worcestershire, like a little bit too much Worcestershire sauce. Oh, he's a hater of Worcestershire sauce. He hates it. What? Well, I don't. I'm just not gonna. I'm just not gonna eat there. It's the same thing I said about affirmative action, right? Where I don't think we need to tell businesses that they don't need to be racist or that they need to hire whatever. I think the market will resolve that on its own because now in the modern, maybe 50 years ago, like I said, you might have had that problem. Now, I don't know so much. I don't know if you have that as much anymore. Like honestly, somebody's like, I don't like serving Mexicans, and our restaurant is a pro America, blah 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 blah. I think a lot of people would just like nobody, like we only want whites only in here. They'd go out of business, or they won't. Maybe white people run and support that business as much as possible.
well, look at Chick-fil
But
A.
yeah, but a lot of
They
white
they they,
people,
they tried to cancel Chick-fil-A, and you can't cancel God's chicken.
yeah, yeah. Remember, Chicago tried to vote to keep them out. As a matter of fact,
Well, I mean, but it does happen though. Like that city in Nevada, where those white people were giving that black guy shit, and he said he's got a hanging rope in the back of his yard or some shit like that, and they got exposed, and that town got hosed by. There was like a car show that didn't make the stop there, which was one of the big revenue getters and stuff like that. So I think in this day and age, I'm not sure you need government stepping in to protect people. I think the people can do that themselves.
yeah, that's my point. Is that I think there's so much more consumerism now as well. Like everybody's a consumer, and now there's 350 million consumers, as opposed to like say years and years ago when we had more. I think more rural towns and people were more self sufficient. Like products now have to be conscious of what they're doing. They're trying to appeal to everything, and I think we've talked about the commercials now where every commercial is a blended family. It's usually like a halfway between beta to soy boy.
It's Beto.
No, Like if you
Beto,
like look at
not
commercials,
Beta.
right? Every commercial always features like a savvy woman and a dumbass dude, or at least he's just kind of like a beta sort of male. There's no commercials that have I was noticing this the other night. I was like, there's no masculine men. They're always like even back in the day when it would be like mom knows best, dad would always still be like that guy sitting in with this newspaper. You know, like you knew that that dude probably beats his kids when the camera's up, right?
Wait, didn't I talk about this on the maybe the first episode, and y'all give me shit about it?
No,
No, no, because I agree.
I don't know where Kevin's going with this.
I was saying that the market dictates, right? They now have so much market. They feel how that they have to pander to specific crowds, right? And that they, or at least try and reach them. So every commercial is going to have a gay couple at least walk across the screen somewhere. Now, what they've gambled against is the idea that maybe the people who don't like gay couples in the audience, some of them sure are going to be like, oh, they support this. Well, I'm not using that product. But I think there's enough people that are going to say, okay. It's the same thing with Chick-fil-A. There's enough gay people that looked at Chick-fil-A. It's like, oh, their Christian values offend me, but then waffle fries is kicking, and they
I
still
think
win.
I think that's when people want government to step in like a bunch of little bitches because they can't stop eating Chick-fil-A. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if they could actually leave Chick-fil-A, leave Facebook, leave eggs, leave all NASCAR, whatever it is they're fucking boycotting and make a difference, they wouldn't need government. But because they need their fucking Chick-fil-A because the chicken is so fucking tasty, they're asking the government to please step in because they can't do it on their own.
Oh,
Chick-fil-A. I wish I knew how to quit you.
Exactly. I don't know how to quit you, so now I need government to interfere and step in and tell Chick-fil-A what to say. And now that fucking other chicken joint down the street, fuck them. I'm not visiting them anymore. But Chick-fil-A, I need it. Government, please help me out.
so, yeah. So you're basically saying it's still an extension of like the cradle to grave syndrome, right? Like these adult kids that still need their parents to wipe their ass for them at like 13. Have you seen that
Yeah.
shit online or whatever? Where it's like my mommy still comes and like wipes my butt, and it's like, how old are you, 12? And it's like, oh
No
my
way
gosh,
that's real.
bro, I
There's no fucking way.
I believe it's real. I believe that we've created, because I've seen these kids at, you know, at various places. You know what I mean? Like where I've worked before in a child centric environment, and I see a lot of stuff where I look at things and I go, where, what kind of parents do we have these days? But I mean, look at how kids are now. When we were kids, on Saturday morning, I got run outside like, you know, I'm like 7, 8 years old. As soon as cartoons were off or whatever, I was told to get my ass out of the house and don't come back to about lunch or so. And, you know, while
But
grandma and mom did stuff. Now you don't let your kids out of your sight.
but that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Like that scenario right there, right? That 12-year-old kid isn't asking his mommy to come and help him jerk off because he can do that on his own. But wiping his ass is something dirty he doesn't want to do, just like leaving Chick-fil-A. Now he needs mommy to step in.
Well, what you're talking about is I thought you were leading a different way, and I realized what you're saying is that people weaponize the government for things they can't get done.
Exactly.
Or
Basically,
things that they can't
They out of
give up on.
convenience. Yeah. Because it's not a necessity. Nobody needs to eat Chick-fil-A, but they fucking love it. They can't leave it. Now they need government to step in. That's horseshit.
yeah.
It's like during that time when the whole Chick-fil-A shit was going on, they were trying to get a Chick-fil-A into the airport here in San Antonio. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
And then the city council voted that shit down and didn't let them in. And that
Yeah.
was a whole big old controversy of why the fuck not, you know?
Well, the other problem with that is because our city council does things that are not necessarily that are contradictive, right? Like this whole thing recently here in San Antonio, they had this thing where they did a survey because they've had people they want to get rid of. There's a small minority of people who have a problem with the horse-drawn carriages downtown because it's very romantic and things like that, and they're all bitter ass fucking nobodies that sit at home. Nobody likes them. so they had to sit and rail at the world. But
The
now they go downtown.
single cat ladies, if you will.
Oh yeah, well, as JD Vance would call them, yeah. And so they're mad, and so they did this study because I think also it's this gentrification people that are wanting to basically come in and put all their money and rebuild downtown into the the ideal tourism um, area that they envisioned for San Antonio. But keep in mind, what they envision is endless compounds where they can swap in and out restaurants or things and make themselves a ton of money. It has nothing to do with the culture or beauty of San Antonio or people liking, the traditions and all that. They basically just try to turn downtown into Mexican Disneyland, but for like, you know what I mean? Like it's like, here's the Alamo and here's some missions and look at the Riverwalk and eat at any of these restaurants that nobody cares about and shop at these stores that nobody cares about. But mainly they want to rent the spaces out. Anyway,
Dude, Mexican
they did a
Disneyland would be kind of
survey.
cool. Like they would have like, instead of the teacups, you can have like taco bowls.
Well, the rides would be much more fun because they may not be as healthy for you, but they're gonna turn that shit up to like, if it runs at 9, like you don't want to go over 9. That makes it a little dangerous. They're gonna put it at like 10, 10 and a half. If you fly off, sometimes these things happen.
Here goes Mickey Rooney again.
Finish your
Well,
point, Kevin.
Well, it's Mexican Disneyland.
No,
what
your
I
other
was gonna
point.
say is, yeah, the other point about gentrification or some shit.
No, well, anyway, so the city council.
He's like, so in conclusion, peanut butter and jelly is the best conclusion, the best sandwich you could possibly make.
No,
What?
So these horse carriage situation, the city council, who was already looking at getting rid of these horses because some environmental groups or whatever, they did a survey. They said, and the survey decided, they surveyed something like 5,000 or 10,000 people, maybe 50,000. And said,
Could have been 75, 200,000. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do I hear 100, 250?
But it was like something like, it was something like 51% of like some number. We'll say 50,000 people. 51% of those people said that they would like to see the horses like tired, right? No more carriages.
Keep changing.
Well, I'm just estimating. I don't know the exact number. But my point is that it's a very small number of people that they asked. Very small, right?
I could have been 10. I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to make a point that it was barely half of an insignificant number of people, right, that said yes. That were only that, and then they decided that, okay, we're gonna phase this out. We've decided to cancel this, donate all these horses, or get all these horse owners who are business owners. They all own their own horses. They're told, sorry, you can't have horse carriages downtown no more. You're gonna have to sell your horses or do whatever, but you can't do it downtown. We're gonna revoke these licenses and all this stuff. And the council voted, and it was people who heard the story.
552,000 people voting yes.
Well, when the people heard the story, though, when it came out that like council voted for this, everybody got pissed. All of a sudden, all these people, there were more comments than people that actually voted or were surveyed, right, on just the news story, and everybody's like, how could they do this? They should have asked this. And the council was, we did a survey that nobody knew about because they knew what they were doing. This is why you have to be careful with statistics and surveys. Who are you asking? How are you asking? You asked out of 3 million people, you asked 50,000. No, but I mean, like, the San Antonio population is what, 3 million, something like that, maybe more.
Yeah, could be 10 million, 25.
They went to the San Antonio chapter of PETA to ask
Well, I'm
them.
just asking. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who did the asking? Did you put it out intentionally in areas where you knew people were more environmental? Like, did you ask 20-year-olds or did you ask 80-year-olds? Did you ask people that are single? Because that makes a difference. No one gives a shit about riding in a carriage romantically. Hell, did you ask tourists? Right? Because or did you ask us? Did you ask people that work downtown? Because if I work downtown, I get stuck behind these carriages all the time. I'm gonna be pissed about it.
I always
It's just like with
felt
those
bad for the horses,
scooters.
man.
Remember the Razor scooters downtown, Beto, where everybody made a big stink about, oh, people riding those electric scooters around, getting in my way, and they're rude, and they're zipping by us, and they're
They're
driving
still
on the
around.
sidewalk. And it's like the only people that were crab apple about it were the people who work downtown. But the people that also want that tourism money, right? But they don't work in tourism, so they don't care. That's what it comes down to.
What the fuck does this have to do with? I don't even know what the original point was anymore.
It's somehow morphed from AI bias to San Antonio
I think
horse
Kevin
drawn
just wanted to
carriages.
bitch about the horses not being there.
Yeah, he's been planning
No,
this all along.
no, we were talking about how a minority of people, like with entertainment, right? Like how how people weaponize government in
Oh yeah, okay.
ways because they know they don't have the numbers or the power on their side to get things done. So then they suddenly
No,
decide
no,
that
no,
that's
no,
what they
no, no.
want.
That's not it. That's not it. It's not that they don't have the numbers or the power. It's that they don't have the willpower to get shit done. That's what I'm saying. Like they
Oh,
don't
so
have the
you're saying they
willpower to
need the
stop eating
government?
Chick-fil-A, so they need government to step in so they can keep eating their fucking Chick-fil-A nuggets. Because it's
Yeah,
just like,
that's right.
what's the reason that government right now is talking to Facebook and Twitter or X, I'm sorry, and TikTok and all that shit? Because people can't just read a fucking book on the shitter. They have to have their TikTok. They can't give it up.
Well, no, that's not
Guilty.
what. That's not why they want it canceled.
No, dude, they did a survey of like 10 people or 25. I think it was 100. Could have been a million. I'm not sure yet.
No, what I mean is they don't. That's not they want. It's not that because they can't stop using it, so they want the government to stop it. They don't. They can't stop people from saying whatever they want on TikTok. They want to only look at content, right? And since they can't only see content that they like or they approve of or that is um in their wheelhouse, they don't want it. They're like, but they can't stop using it, like you said. One, they need the government to step in and ban it so that nobody can have it because that's the better idea, right? Like it's just like with, like I said, like you look at certain things, conservatives, because they can't stop like having unprotected sex or just being celibate, right? Which is what the Bible would tell them to do. Like you should only be having sex to procreate anyway. They want abortions banned, right? Which makes like which it's like, well, fine, okay, but you should be preaching absolute abstinence then, except only when you're ready to have a child. Not just making love to your wife just for the fun of it. No,
Wait,
you
you're
should.
saying conservatives want to ban abortions because they can't control their sex?
Yeah,
That doesn't make any sense.
yeah, because they don't. Because if you have
Wouldn't they or abortions because they can't control themselves?
no, because they don't. Because they don't want to violate the Bible, Beto.
Yeah, but they're still violating the Bible anyway.
They don't want to be given the option. If they know the
Oh,
option exists, it's
you're
like
talking
like
about
Juan
the
was saying to Chick-fil-A. They can't stop themselves from having sex, but they don't want more kids. But they can't choose the abortion because
but
it's wrong.
how does banning abortion stop you from having sex?
Because Kevin's saying that it's adding that the if you're gonna have sex, you're probably gonna have a kid because there's no abortion. So they're using that to give them a reason to not have sex because they can't stop fucking otherwise.
No, I'm thinking it's just because they can't choose. In reality they want to choose the abortion as the option, but morally they can't. So they want to ban it so that they don't even have the decision. That's what I'm saying. That way they're still going to keep having sex, right? And they're still
Here,
going
let
to
me
keep
do a
getting
bill.
accidentally not accidentally president, accidentally pregnant.
Was that
But
a good Bill impression?
I honestly
Oh,
thought I saw people. The audience is not may or may not know who Phil is, but I was flipping through channels and I saw that show 90 Day Fiance, and I honestly thought that dude was
wait, 90
Phil.
Day Beyonce?
No, 90 Day Fiance.
Oh, fiance.
It's about these people that meet people online in some weird way that I don't understand because I didn't realize that people could still meet people online.
In a show called 90 Day Beyonce, they take Asian Americans and try to turn them black.
But there was this guy, and I swear I saw him and I thought he was Phil for like a minute. And I don't I was like, holy cow, Phil is on TV. And then I realized like, oh, that's not Phil. It's the guy that where his neck is fused to his shoulders or something like that, I think.
Oh, that, yeah.
See, now I like how Beto, hold on. I like how Beto a minute ago was like, 90 Day what? What show? 90? I don't watch these weird shows Kevin Tuesday watching. And then the moment I'm like, it's the guy who's like, oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, because I'd seen a lot of TikToks with that one guy. That,
So you know what the show was, Beto. Why did you act like you didn't know what I was talking about when I
no,
mentioned
because
it?
as soon as you said the guy with his shoulders, that's the only guy I've ever seen that looks like that. There's this one guy that I've seen TikToks on. I'm assuming that's who you're talking about. That like literally has no neck. Have you seen him one?
Yeah, it's like a short, chubby dude.
He looks
Yeah.
like one of those thumb people from the fucking Spy Kids movies.
He looks like Ram Man from
Going back to
from
Beto's original thing, I was gonna say I really don't give a fuck if they're biased though.
Who, AI?
AI or Google or Facebook or Twitter.
It's just weird because to me the expectation is that you would hope a computer would not be biased and would be that would be my personal hope, is that a computer would be just, here's the facts. That's it. That's all it was for me.
Well, it should be. Well, that's what I'm saying. That I believe that again, it at the end of the day, even if it learns, it still has code, and that code is going to dictate what it does, right? And it's like a professionalism. Like we all have biases, but for the most part, we know we pick and choose sometimes. But if you're a professional, you do your job.
But it all depends on what facts, quote unquote, are being fed to it. You know what I mean? Like if I constantly tell it that Kevin is not gay, I mean that's obviously not factual, right? So then AI is going to think, well, Kevin's not gay when Kevin in fact is gay. You know what I mean?
No, I don't understand this example.
Yeah, like if I gave an AI, if I pulled up an AI and I told it Kevin is gay. Or I'm sorry, Kevin is not gay. Right? But Kevin in fact is gay. But then if you ask the AI, is Kevin gay? It's going to say no. But that's not
because the
true
AI would
because
be
Kevin
smart.
really is gay.
No.
So what you're saying is, if me and you just post every day something about Kevin from San Antonio loves a cock, like
Yeah.
every day, eventually somebody will go, "Hey, tell me something about Kevin from Political Deviance," and he goes, "Kevin loves a cock."
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Exactly. And then
I mean, in that case, it's true.
Yeah, so I mean, AI is never not going to be biased then, because it's going to go off the information that it's being fed. It all depends who does the feeding, right?
What's that?
And
That depends who
based
does
on
the
the amount of
feeding.
money we're talking about, like it may be right. I'm not going to turn down all those sweet gay dollars. LGBT community makes a lot of money. Those guys are they tend to be on average more middle class or upper middle class to 1% than straight people, as like when you look at it demographically wise. So if that's that market, bring that RuPaul market to me. You guys can talk all your shit about gay people. I love them. I would be gay
Well,
in a
I'm not
heartbeat
talking
for the
shit.
right
I
amount.
was just pointing out a fact.
Like for the right amount, I mean, I'm bisexual. You buy me something, I'll get sexual. I've come to realize
Hey, we're gonna clip We're gonna clip that to end right where he said he's bisexual.
Well, it's got to be the whole thing, though.
No, man, we're media now.
Nope,
We're
not
media.
just-
We clip shit. We clip shit how we want it to look, and then we post that.
Yeah, so we're gonna say we're gonna post a clip of Kevin saying he's bisexual, and then remove everything in between from that part to the part where he says, "But it's got to be the whole thing."
what I think should happen. Now that I mentioned
Oh
it,
no,
Juan's
no, wait.
right.
In between, you should add where you say Kevin likes the big cock, and then Kevin says, "But it's got to be the whole thing."
Yeah, we don't need to be giving Javi any ideas. What I think is I'm kind of on the side of like what Juan was saying. I realize that what I need government to step in. I need government to step in. I needed to make sure that people that are in entertainment stop offending me with their, because I can't stop paying attention to their entertainment, right? So I'm gonna have to, like Jimmy Kimmel, I need the government to step in and make, like, they need an agency. We need to create an agency that forces people to be balanced, to stop bias. We need an anti-bias agency that comes in, and I'm fine with them also attacking like Fox News or whatever. We need to have we're at the point where we need an official government entity to come in and like quell bias, because we can't stop it ourselves, but I can't also live with it. But I do want it, but I don't want it.
Speaking of government, what are y'all's thoughts about um, Linda Sun, that
Oh, yeah. I don't
Chinese
know.
spy,
Yeah, I mean, a alleged Chinese spy.
allegedly?
I mean, we are in an election year, and I'm trying to understand. I was kind of watching stories on that last night, and I'm kind of just not getting where the spy part comes in, because it sounds like she got a whole bunch of money in kickbacks, but like I wouldn't think that the Chinese government, if you're a Chinese agent, right, if you're a spy, I wouldn't think that you'd make millions off of it. Like, if anything, you're just a traitor. But I can't see like the Chinese government being like, okay, we're going to put you in these positions. You're going to do this. You're going to do these things for us. Wouldn't you either already be tied to the Communist Party, like ideologically, or they're like, or you have family back in China that's going to pay the price if you don't do what they want? You know what I mean? Versus making yourself independently rich off of the Chinese government. And even then, the things that she's sort of accused of doing is like blocking the New York governor from like having meetings with like the Taiwanese leadership or whatever. And I'm like, because like she's controlling the schedule or something. And I'm like, my question is, why would the New York governor be meeting with the Taiwanese people
I
to
had the
discuss
same question too.
policy?
But I had the same question, but also keep in mind, like when companies are going to do business in a certain state, especially if it's huge companies or corporations, they're going to meet with top government officials of that state to, try to get incentives or,
Well,
different things, right? So it does ultimately affect.
I can see that from a business. I see the business end of that, right? Like I see CEOs from a Taiwanese car company that want to build a factory in New York. You see what I mean? Like I see them. I don't know about the president of Taiwan or whatever needing to meet with the governor of New York for you see what I mean? But even and maybe you could make some kind of argument there, but even then that's just a scheduling thing. It was saying that she blocked the scheduling, but doesn't the government or the governor kind of have like, hey, I need to meet with those Taiwanese people. You get them on my schedule. Like if she's operating as your assistant in that capacity, you see what I'm saying? That she's working in the office and she's done this for several governors. The other thing too is these governors going back several years, like Cuomo, like they didn't know, or at least like why would multiple governors have the same person in the same position? Don't you normally switch out your and the people that you use? Like I have my own assistant. You see what I mean, or something like that. And even then, the most recent the current governor, she's like saying like, "Oh, this is a she needs to be prosecuted, and this is outrageous that this would happen." And blah blah. I was like, you didn't know either, because you're going back to a long line of Democratic governors here that have been apparently exposed to this woman. I don't know. There's parts of it that make me go like I have questions, right? But on the other hand, I'm also finding it extremely difficult to care. Like, okay, so there's a Chinese spy. How many spies do we have in China, right? Like, we caught her. That's all that matters. Why, like, quick story, and then that's it. But China's spying on us, so we already know that. Like, what did she get anything like nuclear secrets? Like, that's what I care about. But like controlling access to somebody to me is, like and like providing information on who like somebody's meeting, that's different. And when you're talking about like a governor of a state,
Your
if she
story's
was
getting tiresome.
yeah, if she was in if she was in the White House, maybe I would feel like, you know what I mean? Like I would care
That
more.
that being said, should we have expected some kind of statement out of the White House about this? I mean, it's still, yeah, I can see what you're saying about like there's not any serious ramifications in this case, but
Well, are we going to trade? Who do they have that's a celebrity that they're holding in China that we can trade this woman for? Because that's what's going to happen. What Chinese basketball? Is this a retaliatory thing too? Is this one of those things where we took someone that's popular and famous there, and we're like we've trumped up these
speaking of
charges?
retaliatory, the whole shit with X also was another topic that I wanted to touch on, where the Brazilian government's like seized X and SpaceX's assets and shit in Brazil.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess it's their government; they can do whatever the fuck they want, right? But it's still, I don't know, man. It's a weird
Well,
world.
I could understand if there was some issues that they had legally where in their government this, that, and the other, right? My issue with Brazil is where it comes up where their comment though was something along the lines of, like it sounded personal because it was something like we're gonna show Elon Musk that these people don't have the power to whoa 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 whoa. What do you mean these people? You mean if he did something wrong, or his company is violating Brazilian law, then I can understand you stepping in to do something. When you start making it personal commentary attacks based on his political point of view, but my thing was America has to stand up on things like that, right? Like,
Listen, anarchist, you can't say that America needs to be not interfering with other people's governments, and now that they're interfering with Elon Musk, you're like America needs to step up.
I didn't say that.
All right, go.
I was saying that America needs to stand up and do similar things. It was where I was going with that. Because at the end of the day, like Beto said, it's their government, right? Like they can make that decision. So what we can do is we can also make the decision. It's capitalism on a bigger scale. Okay, just like you can take down Twitter, they can seize SpaceX assets or whatever, and then but there was probably a lot. How much business do like otherwise in Brazil? They got to do the same. So the same should be applicable everywhere, but it usually isn't.
Well,
You know
what
what
are
I
we
mean?
going to seize that's Brazil's?
No, I don't care about
Soccer
Brazil. I'm
players?
thinking more along the lines of like, I'm just saying that we as people, like, if you don't agree with something like that, then just don't use Brazil stuff. You know what? There's a lot of Brazilian products. My thing is like like, does Brazil not use X things? They don't have people that are not employed in those factories.
You are absolutely correct. From now on, any Brazilian girl that I run across on my TikTok gonna get blocked.
Brazilian porn. Like, go ahead and put up this splash page.
Ooh, Tamagotchi. See, now we need government intervention. I don't know if I can stop going to Brazilian steakhouses.
Yeah, they're gonna have to come in and ban them.
I can stop because I never got to go because Beto never took me like he promised. Back
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You can never go.
3 different shows ago.
Look, next time Juan's here, we'll go.
I can always go. I don't know. You're the one that could never
No,
go.
now we can't go. Now I gotta
Yeah, we gotta. Yeah,
boycott.
Well, isn't there like one that has technically it's full of like Mexican workers? Like it's just Brazilian it's Brazilian style, but you go in there and it's all like white people and Hispanics. It's like saying
Chinese
I'm not
restaurant.
going to eat Chinese food, and then I can still go to any Chinese restaurant in San Antonio because there ain't no Chinese people cooking.
It's all Mexicans in the kitchen.
Yeah, all they've got is that front iconography. They find like 2 like Asian, and half of them I question.
I'm gonna stop this before we get racial and we get canceled after only our 4th show. So let us know what you think about AI being biased. Can we do anything about it? Is it going to gain consciousness and fucking start voting? Then we have to pass a SAVE Act for AI products.
Is AI a citizen? Can it vote?
It's a netizen. All right, we'll see y'all next week. Peace out.
Ban Brazil! Ban Brazil! I mean, I'm bisexual.
Kevin from San Antonio loves a cock.
It's got to be the whole thing, though.